have it translated, melted down, sent direct to me. Zarek has held my crown long enough.
Stick War 3, later changed to Stick War Saga, was released in 2021 by Max Game Studios. Despite being arguably the best game, its predecessor, Stick War Legacy, is often held higher in the eyes of fans. In this video, we'll be diving into why Stick War Saga became so unliked, despite being the superior game. Reason number 1. Pay to win. Pay-to-win updates are one of the much more recent complaints among the community, these changes being put out around 5 months ago. In this update, the user had to pay to use generals that weren't in rotation, $5 per general. As expected, the Stick War 3 community absolutely hated this update, and many videos criticizing it can still be found on YouTube to this day. Now you might be asking, wait, doesn't Stick War Legacy also have microtransactions? And yeah, you'd be right. What makes the difference between the two is that Stick War Legacy has always been known as a casual game. There is no multiplayer, meaning that removing a character from the game has almost no balancing effect since the opponents are AI. Whereas in a game like Stick War Saga, games are competitive. Locking generals behind a paywall will have a much more negative effect. This leads into our second reason for Stick War Saga's downfall: sudden death. The sudden death mechanic was a system that Stick War Saga developers added in order to prevent stalemates where matches go on forever. Although this update seriously cracked down on stallers, it caused a play strategy with players that relied on destroying the opponent's tower as quickly as possible. This not only ruins long-term strategy, but also makes it so casual games between friends can only last for a few minutes. Similar to the first problem, many forums and videos can be found discussing this issue, as it was very highly contested among the fanbase. Moving on, the third reason will be the overall differences between Stick War Saga and Stick War Legacy. It's pretty obvious that nostalgia is going to affect how we see these games, whether they be Stick War Legacy or Stick War Saga. Stick War Legacy is much older than Stick War Saga, meaning that the fanbase, as well as the people who once played it, are much older and played it much longer ago. This feeling of nostalgia often skews how good the game actually was in the eyes of the fanbase. This is why I said, despite the fact that Stick War Saga is superior in basically every way, Stick War Legacy is still seen as the better game. Despite this, an argument can be made that Stick War Legacy did genuinely have better features than Stick War Saga. A lot of people note that the controls and gameplay mechanics of Stick War Legacy just felt a lot more robust than Stick War Saga. This is partly due to the fact that Stick War Legacy was optimized for mobile, whereas Stick War Saga was optimized to be available for every single platform. These kind of changes make subtle differences within the game as skew the perceptions of the people playing them. This is accentuated by the fact that Stick War Legacy doesn't have to worry about balancing like Stick War Saga does. This allows for many fun spells such as spawning Griffin the Great or spawning the West Wind soldiers. Despite causing a less serious gameplay, this allows for more fun and chaotic gameplay, which appeals more to casual players who just want to have a good time. And since the majority of Stick War Legacy and Stick War Saga's demographics are young, it makes sense that a game like Stick War Legacy would appeal more to its viewers, as it provides action-packed fun without really having to play the game that much. As I said earlier, this is going to be a lot more different from Stick War Saga, which has its own lore and cutscenes that you have to be a bit more complex in thinking to understand. The strategies and tactics are much more complex by nature, and need a lot more experience with the game in order to dive in. Speaking of forgotten nostalgia, that moves into my fourth aspect, which is removed characters. Any veteran or somewhat experienced fan will know that the original units from Stick Empires have been removed to an extent. Units like the Elementals as well as the Albatross can no longer be found in Stick War 3. Although it might be possible that these units will be added later, so far we have been given no confirmation of any of these releases. And similar to all the other issues, you can find videos covering this exact issue. As I said earlier with the nostalgia bit, taking something that fans love and replacing it with something they might not like is never really a good move for game engagement. It creates split fan bases where a large majority of the game's fan base stays to the older games because they prefer the older games over them. This is why there is still a replacement for Stick Empires despite the fact that the actual developers canceled the project a while ago. It shows time and time again that despite how many new changes and games that the old developers make, people still somehow seem to prefer the older games. Moving on, my fifth reason, and the probably most important reason, is the fact that the expectations were extremely high. This is, in my opinion, the most important reason by far. Stick War Saga was the sixth game in the series and had a lot of expectations to hold up to. Many of the older fans that had played previous games expected it to be very similar to the older ones. Although the game is still very high quality, some people were disappointed as the art style, controls, game mechanics, and original units were changed from the original game. This plays not just into the actual quality of the game, but the circumstances around it. It shows that it wasn't just the game itself, but the circumstances around it. If Stick War Saga had been the first game in the series, nobody would have complained because that's what they had been used to. The effect of nostalgia seriously throws off how people perceive the game, even if the game itself is very high quality. This is pretty different when you compare to Stick War Legacy, who basically got the best circumstances out of any of the Stick War games. Stick War Legacy had been created as a follow-up or as a recreation of the original Stick War game. It had very low expectations, as the original Stick War game had been quite low in quality. This also points out the fact that there were very different expectations for both of the two. Since Stick War Legacy was created almost 7 years after the original game, it was almost an immediate increase in quality that allowed the fans to enjoy the game more, whereas a game like Stick War 3 had much more expectations on it that caused it to fail and experience a lot of consumer backlash. I'm not even the first one to make this kind of video, as several other YouTubers have noticed this issue and made commentary on it. This shows that it's not just a regional issue, but a worldwide issue across the entire platform of Stick War Saga. Although the overall community is still doing just fine, these are some of the complaints that have caused a slight downfall in Stick War Saga's activity. Like if you agree with the video, and make sure to join as a member if you haven't already. This is probably the most ambitious video I've made yet, and I hope you enjoyed it.